I used to be the perfect housewife, devoted to my husband Frank for 7 years. I was so loyal I'd cross the street to avoid other men, but then I found out he was cheating on me. Tears streaming down my face, I confronted Frank with a list of 102 women he cheated with. Why did you betray me? I demanded. He coldly replied, you're too pure, there's no passion in our life. Later, I faked my own death to escape. Once I was free, I stopped pretending. I immediately took my Ferrari out for a spin and hired 99 male models. As I finished singing a silly song, I was passionately kissing one of the models when we locked eyes with someone at the door. I gave a flirtatious smile. Hi there, ex-husband. Frank leaned casually against the doorframe, saying nothing as the flickering lights cast eerie shadows. Annoyed at being stared at, I whispered in the model's ear, taking a dig at Frank. When someone greets you, you should respond. That's just basic human decency, otherwise, you're not even human. The model's ear turned red from my warm breath. He gave Frank a challenging look. Twinkle twinkle little star. The next silly song I'd picked started playing. I wrapped my arms around the model, about to kiss him again. Frank finally spoke, his face dark. Hiring male models, 99 of them. I turned to look at him with an innocent expression. Is there a problem, Dr. Harrison? Frank's eyes grew cold, a mocking smile on his lips. You're really going wild, aren't you? The guys with Frank started teasing. Sis, if you'd been this wild before, you and Frank wouldn't have split up. Yeah, you gotta spice things up to get through the 7-year itch. I firmly held down the model, Miles, who was getting angry and wanted to stand up. I slowly sipped my wine, lost in thought. I used to be a free-spirited woman years ago. I fell for Frank's image as a selfless doctor saving lives. I went to great lengths to find out he had a pure, gentle ex who died young. For years he'd remained faithful to her memory. I knew then that he was the one. I forced myself to rein in my outgoing personality and played the perfect wife for Frank for 7 years. And what did those 7 years get me? Messages on his phone, flirting and hooking up with countless sexy women, and his cold words to me. No passion. Even someone as strong as me couldn't help but tremble remembering it. Only I knew how deeply I had loved Frank for those 7 years. And only I knew that the seemingly perfect man was rotten to the core. I felt like such a fool. Miles gently held my waist and whispered, Lily, are you that shaken? I sighed softly, ready to rally, but then I heard Frank's impatient mockery. Are you two planning to get a room? This is a bar, not a hotel. We don't allow indecent behavior in respectable establishments. I emerged from Miles' embrace and gave Frank a faint smile. Young people date and hook up. Is there something wrong with two single people getting to know each other? Dr. Harrison, you're so old-fashioned. I watched the man's chest heave with anger, his eyes dark. Lily, you dash. I lifted my chin proudly and pulled out a wad of cash, stuffing it into Miles' jacket pocket. How about I buy you for the night, handsome? Miles pressed his forehead to mine, his voice low. What do you want to do? I winked playfully, ignoring Frank as I pulled Miles towards the dance floor. Dance with me. The pulsing music shook the wild crowd. I smirked at Miles' stiff movements in front of me. You really don't dance like someone who works here as a model. Miles gritted his teeth and glared at me threateningly. Lily, I would never come to a place like this if you hadn't called me. I laughed and pulled Miles closer by his shirt, lightly touching his lips. I called you to act, but you're taking advantage. We're even now. Miles' eyes flashed red as he smacked my hand away, his mood darkening. Lily, can't you behave? Didn't you fake your death to get away from Frank forever? Why come to the bar he owns? I fell silent. Seeing my reaction, Miles' voice softened. Do you regret it? Do you still love him? I stiffened, my smile fading. After I left Frank, I never planned to see him again, and certainly didn't expect to run into him here. Damn, who knew this bar was his? I had just come out of the bathroom when I overheard Frank talking to his low-life friends. Bro, I found some hot new girls for you. Wanna meet them? You've been cooped up at the hospital ever since Lily disappeared. You look awful. You need some fun. Separated by just a wall, I was shocked. Frank knew I had faked my death. How's Lily been lately? Frank inhaled deeply on his cigarette, slowly exhaling. She went to the gym the day before yesterday and pretended to be weak to hook up with a muscular trainer. Yesterday she went to a wine tasting and accidentally spilled wine on a sexy CEO's shirt. Today she came to the bar and hired 99 male models to her room. I silently listened to the lackey's report, wanting to laugh. They really knew how to pick out the highlights. Frank suddenly chuckled coldly, sneaking off and faking her death, trying to make me jealous by practicing on other men. These little tricks aren't enough to make me forgive and take her back. I rolled my eyes so hard they nearly fell out of my head. What the hell kind of tricks? It was all because Miles kept messing things up when he was with me. He was supposed to spot me at the gym but didn't adjust the equipment. How was I supposed to lift that much? The trainer was just laughing so hard he finally helped me. Miles suddenly complimented my white dress, making me trip and spill my wine all over the CEO. The guy came to ask for compensation. As for the models, I admit that was intentional. Miles had teased me that after faking my death I didn't even have a single man around. I was so annoyed listening to Frank and his crew's delusional conversation. Where did they get the confidence? Back in the private room I reluctantly dismissed the 99 tall, handsome models. I calmly posted on social media, visible only to Miles, emergency, need a male model wingman. Lily, say something. Do you still love him? Miles' low shout snapped me back to reality. I was about to speak when commotion broke out by the booths. A drunk customer was forcefully groping a sweet, innocent-looking girl and wouldn't let go. He was shamelessly trying to feel her up. Come on baby, let me hold you, let go of me. Beer bottles shattered on the ground as the girl cried out desperately for help until Frank came over and punched the guy, shielding the girl behind him. The onlookers cheered, the noise growing louder and louder. What were you saying earlier? Miles glared at me in annoyance. You lose your soul as soon as you see Frank. I lightly patted Miles' cheek. TSK, we've been best friends for so many years and you still don't understand my personality. Am I that kind of person? I don't go back to exes. Miles turned his head slightly, pressing his cheek firmly against my palm. Then why are you still looking at him? I laughed scornfully, leaning back against Miles with my arms crossed. Am I looking at him? I was actually looking at Frank's hand resting firmly on the girl's slim waist and the knowing glance he exchanged with the drunk guy. He got the pretty girl and good publicity for the bar, killing two birds with one stone. He was so calculating. It made me wonder how many times I'd been manipulated in those 7 years. Disgusting. Let's go home. I patted Miles' broad shoulder, no longer wanting to get involved in Frank's mess. Miles hesitated, his face full of restraint. To my place. Sure, your place works. Miles looked increasingly uncomfortable as he waited for my decision. I narrowed my eyes and leaned close to his ear, pretending to be serious. Of course Dash, I'm going to my home and you're going to yours. I quickly walked away, waving goodbye to Miles. Good night Miles. By the time Miles realized I'd tricked him I was long gone. He unconsciously smirked, savoring the moment. I'll get you back for this. Meanwhile, on the other side, Frank clinked glasses with the girl, gently calming her frightened heart. But his eyes were fixed firmly on Miles and me. Seeing us walk away one after the other, he couldn't help but feel pleased. Still so faithful. She must really love me on a cruise ship. Mom, don't worry. I'll definitely snag a rich husband for you at this masquerade ball, I reassured my mom on the phone as I gazed at the roaring sea. Yeah right, with your taste in men you wasted 7 years being fooled. And now the neighbor's daughter already has grandkids. I was momentarily speechless at my mom's scolding. Sweetie, you and Miles have been childhood sweethearts. Our families know each other so well. Have you really never considered him? Old Mr. Young has always wanted you as a granddaughter-in-law. I kicked at imaginary pebbles on the ground. Mom, stop worrying. I have my own pace. Besides, if Miles really liked me, why hasn't he said anything? He probably doesn't even see me as a woman. I might as well find a boyfriend here today, like that guy at 2 o'clock in the black mask. He looks good. His tailored suit hides an irresistibly attractive physique. Hi, care for a drink? I confidently walked over to greet him. The man smiled and bowed slightly, clinking his glass with mine. Pleasure to meet you. I downed my drink in one gulp and casually asked, are you here alone? May I have the honor of being your dance partner? The man chuckled, his deep voice vibrating in my ears. I shifted back slightly, feeling a bit uncomfortable. Chuckled, his deep, I'd be honored, but I don't think your boyfriend would be too happy about that. I blinked in confusion, following the man's gaze. Miles was frantically looking around, seeming lost. Miles, I apologetically excused myself from the man and ran over to chat up. Miles, hey handsome, want a drink? Miles gulped and stayed silent, shaking his head like he wanted to run away. I forcefully grabbed his neat tie, running my hands over his fit body. Hey, don't go, your pecs are really nice. Miles' breathing grew increasingly erratic from my teasing. He angrily burst erratic from my TE out. Lily, how can you grope a stranger? That's sexual harassment. I was stunned for